Have you ever had that creeping feeling that you're just following a script you didn't actually write? Well, welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to untangle the dense, honestly bizarre, and profoundly metaphysical musings of 5 very strange fictional entities. We're essentially exploring a source text that acts like a giant philosophical funnel. We're going to start deep inside the isolated confines of the human mind, and then zoom all the way out to the cold, incomprehensible edges of the universe. If you're someone who geeks out over the intersection of biology, psychology, and cosmic determinism, oh man, you are absolutely going to love what we're breaking down today. I actually want to kick things off with this incredibly eerie assertion from the skeleton mage. It perfectly captures how the terrifying, massive forces of the cosmos are actually mirrored right deep inside of us. It really sets the stage for everything we're about to dive into. The text is basically begging us to consider that the invisible, totally incomprehensible void of outer space isn't just something out there. No, it's intimately tied to our own internal, physiological, and psychological states. And that brings us straight to the ultimate thought experiment we're tackling today. Are we entirely trapped by these deterministic biological forces, or can we actually wake up and confront reality? As we dig into the strange narratives of our 5 entities, we're going to constantly bump right up against this wall. So, take a breath and really ask yourself, are our choices real, or are we literally just watching a script play out? Section 1, Solitude and Social Artifice. Let's start down at the micro level, the internal self, by examining the monk's perspective on isolation and the human mind. The monk presents us with a frankly terrifying dilemma. Is our need for other people just this shallow social artifice, or is it an unavoidable biological black hole just devouring us from the inside out? See, the monk specializes in analyzing how minds project symbolic models. So he isolates himself completely to see what happens when you strip away the social noise, what he calls drops of water in the midst of a desert. He wonders, do humans venture outside their safe little concrete boxes because of a hardwired biological need, or is it just a totally conjured mental trick? Well, after 1,000 years of total solitude, the monk develops these absolutely staggering physiological adaptations. It completely shatters what we'd normally consider biologically normal. It's a fascinating look at how our reality's norms only exist because we have others to compare them to, you know? Without society around for comparison, the monk just transcends human limits entirely. Just imagine holding your breath for 1,000 years. He survives without oxygen like a luciferin, jumps as high as a flea, and runs as fast as a cheetah. He literally proves that absolute physical isolation fundamentally rewrites biology. Section 2, Visual Anchors and Imagination. Moving even deeper into the mind, we meet the human mage, who asks a really unsettling question about whether our physical senses actually destroy our capacity for pure imagination. The mage draws this intense contrast between our all-enveloping visual sight and our other senses. He argues that sight acts as heavy baggage, a massive anchor tying us down to reality, whereas other senses let the mind free-float. The theory goes that sight is like a fully encapsulating room you have to navigate whenever you're awake. It dominates your sensory perception so heavily that it completely prevents true, pure fantasy. Audio, on the other hand, it's just a momentary anchor. It's like a bat buzzing by in the dark, just a quick ping of echolocation. To actually test this, the mage performs an intense and honestly super shocking thought experiment. They disable their pain receptors and literally pluck their own eyes out. I mean, you would think that removing that heavy visual anchor would unlock this boundless, pure well of imagination, right? But no. The mage steps into an existential tank and makes a really macabre discovery. They're just watching reruns of their own past. Their brains stubbornly just replayed old memories instead of generating anything actually new. Which leads to this terrifying suggestion. Even when stripped of visual anchors, our biological brains are entirely deterministic. They're just rehashing the past like a broken machine. The mage comes to the chilling realization that pure imagination might literally be impossible. Even our inner voice and our deepest thoughts are just inevitable, deterministic outputs governed by biological wiring. I mean, it sounds eerily like artificial intelligence, doesn't it? Except we're talking about our own organic brains. Section 3, Measuring Metaphysical Luck. Okay, let's zoom out a bit from the internal self and see how this deterministic biology clashes with the external universe. And we'll start with the cat's theories on luck. The 3-dimensional cat proposes this highly engaging, very concrete thought experiment. What if we applied a literal double-blind scientific study to see if chaotic chance is objectively skewed against you? Most of us just think of luck as this subjective, fleeting feeling. But the cat enthusiastically insists that if you actually measure random, binary actions over a statistically sensible sample size, you might find results that wildly defy a 50-50 probability. And that brilliantly illustrates the cat's concept of fractals of terrible luck. It suggests that bad luck isn't just some random coincidence. It's an exponential force hard-baked into the ethereal realm. The cat argues that luck is never just linear. It's like when you oversleep, which makes you rush, which makes you spill your coffee, which makes you miss your bus. It's a chain reaction. Initial bad luck establishes further bad luck, creating these compounding negatives. It implies that chaos and randomness aren't just empty statistics. They actually possess an objective existential quality. Section 4. The Web of Determinism. Zooming all the way out from luck to the grand, inescapable forces of the cosmos, we encounter the mutant spider. Let's see how this builds our understanding of fate. The spider uses this incredible metaphorical grounding, describing time itself as a labyrinth of silk. It's an infinite web of past deterministic variables that absolutely dictates our present moment. While the cat was playing around with the idea of chance and luck, the spider totally scoffs at the notion of choice altogether. From the very origin of existence, all the way down to this exact second, the spider asks a pretty foolproof question. When does the past ever not determine the present? The spider then poses this chilling psychological comparison. Isn't our cherished belief in free will functionally identical to a psychiatric delusion of reference? Think about it for a second. When we believe in our own locus of control, that our personal choices shape our lives, society pats us on the back and calls it healthy. But when someone has a delusion of reference, meaning they falsely believe totally random external events are secretly connected to them, society calls it psychosis. The spider points out that they are literally just two sides of the exact same coin. Both falsely assume the individual is meaningfully connected to the outcome of objective external events. Seriously, when you look at the inescapable biological realities we're talking about here, like simple dopamine loops directing where you physically look, or microscopic parasites actually altering your biochemistry, it becomes pretty clear that our actions are entirely manipulated. How can you claim free will when your eyes are physically drawn to whatever gives you the easiest dopamine spike, or when hidden organisms inside your body are secretly rewiring your neural pathways? Realizing this level of inescapable, universal determinism is honestly enough to freeze you into absolute inaction. Section 5. Dark Matter and Reality. This ultimate lack of control brings us right to the climax of our existential funnel, the skeleton mage and the terrifying fabric of reality itself. The skeleton mage defines their power not as some cheap sleight of hand, but as raw existential magic. And this magic is intrinsically linked to the dark matter pervading the entire universe. We aren't talking about parlor tricks or sociology anymore. This is the literal energetic force that sparked the Big Bang. It's the incomprehensible vast void that is currently, as we speak, pushing all the galaxies away from one another. The really profound takeaway here is that confronting dark matter, the macro universe, induces the exact same squalid biological disgust as cutting open your own chest just to watch your heartbeat. The skeleton mage notes that dark matter is the literal heart of existence. Just as seeing the raw, fleshy, messy mechanics of your own cardiovascular system would completely disgust and horrify you, perceiving the true nature of dark matter renders a person utterly unable to accept reality. The truth is physically unbearable to the local mind. So, I leave you with this final, unforgettable dilemma. Now that we've charted this deterministic squalor all the way from our solitary minds out to the cosmos, what are you gonna do? Will you try to just ignore reality, or will you simply surrender to the inevitable tide? The universe just keeps turning, and time keeps moving forward, completely and totally indifferent to us. If our biology is rigged, our luck is fractal, and the universe is governed by an unbearable void, can you ever look at a simple everyday choice the exact same way again?